Welcome to Discovering. Tonight, we'll talk about another top quality, genuine UP made product.
This one here is a 6-foot model. This is our smallest, probably one of our most popular models because it is portable.
And we'll talk a little bit about Buck. That's all tonight, right here on Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
People say we have an accent, our own dialect even. Now, I don't know where they get that, but I do know there are some words that are probably more common here in the UP than in other places. Words like pasty, kuttagi, chuck, and that list wouldn't be complete without sauna. The word sauna is an ancient Finnish word referring to the traditional Finnish bath and to the bathhouse itself. In Finland, there's an average of one sauna per household. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And since there are more people of Finnish descent living in the Upper Peninsula than any other part of the world, other than Finland itself, it's no wonder that in some parts of the UP, sauna is as common as pasties. Well, at the UP Boat, Sport and RV show in Marquette last year, I had the chance to learn just enough about saunas to know that I want one. For a closer look, I traveled just north of Baraga for a visit with Keweenaw Saunas.
We are Keweenaw Saunas here. We're located about 6 miles south of Chassel on US 41, 12 miles north of Baraga. We've moved to a new facility here with our business growing, and we're here building saunas and growing like crazy. This one here is a 6-foot model. This is our smallest one. Probably one of our most popular models because it is so small, portable, and we call it our 2-person, but it's typically, you could fit 4 people in there. They do come standard with a wood-fired stove, fed from outside. We do offer an electric option. It is somewhat of an upcharge, approximately $500 upcharge for an electric option over top of the wood stove. Spring-loaded hinges, double-strength glass in all the windows, wood handles, powder-coated hinges, powder-coated bands on the outside holds the sauna together. They typically don't need adjusted for any reason, but if the bands need tightened or if they need replaced at any time, they are all accessible. The boards on the bottom are screwed on and everything is accessible, so we can service them or we can replace them. The cradle on the bottom is all pressure treated, the same as your deck material. And that's designed to set right on the ground, so you need no concrete slab or foundation for our saunas. The straps, like I say, are powder coated from Peninsula Powder Coating. It's a baked enamel finish. Most people know what powder coating is. We do our own milling. It is a ball and socket joint, and we do that to get a tighter fit as we tighten the bands. All of the saunas do leave here with a Thompson's water seal sealer on there, and that needs to be done probably once a year to keep the sauna looking as nice as they leave here. All of the cedar that we use is a Western red cedar. The reason we use a Western red cedar is it's readily available in the kiln dried form. Kiln drying lets us use lumber at 5 to 6% moisture content Air-dried lumber that's readily available here in the UP runs about 12%. We just don't have enough kiln-dried white cedar that we can, it's readily available. Our saunas come in 2 different diameters. When we first started, we started using a 6-foot diameter, and it has a 5'10" headroom inside. We had a lot of customers that couldn't live with that headroom. 6 foot plus tall people didn't like the idea they couldn't stand up in a 6-footer. So last year we went to a 7-foot diameter, which gives us a 6-foot 8-inch headroom, and that's become a very popular option also. We do make 5 different models now. We make a 6x6 like you see here. We make a 6x8, which is more comfortable for 4 people. We make a 6x12 that's a 4-person sauna room with a 4-foot changing room. Then we go into our 7-foot models. We make a 7x8, and we make a 7x12. That's a 7x8 sauna room and a 4-foot changing room. That's the largest model we make. What we do here is start out with our pressure treated lumber. We use 2x12s. This is how the foundation of the whole sauna is created. It's pressure treated lumber. This is how the barrel starts. One of the most important parts of our sauna, there's a series of holes drilled in the bottom of the barrel, and that has to be done at this point of construction. And it's so all the water in the sauna bathing aspect runs right out of the barrel onto the ground. The reason we do a series of holes in the bottom of the sauna is because if this sauna becomes not level at any point in time, the water can escape out the bottom. Our saunas all come with benches on both sides in all models. They do have a removable board in the floor. And the reason for that is in case something gets dropped in there that has to be retrieved, or if the soap buildup becomes an odor, we can get that board out of there and bleach the soap residue out of there. This is our inventory of lumber after it's milled. At this point, just before assembly, everything is sorted through again. If there's any flaws in the boards like this particular knot hole, this lumber gets used in different places. It'll get sawed up in short pieces for bench supports. We try to use everything, but we don't use any bad boards. Everything is hand-picked that goes in the barrel itself. Well, the next step is starting the barrel. So we lay these boards in. The walls are built in our assembly area. These are all built out of tongue and groove V-board, and we build them, and then as you can see, we're about to set them into the sauna. And that is how Keweenaw Sauna had started. From here, it's time to put our bench boards in, so we don't have to do it from inside. It can be done outside. And then we continue on with our barrel and get it barreled and tightened up with the bands, and then comes just the finishing touches with the door. We cut the windows in. All of our Keweenaw saunas comes with windows in the back. There's 2 windows in here. This is double strength glass. This is all stopped with big stretch caulking. Put the glass in, stop it from the outside, and then actually caulk and glaze the windows at this point. And add all the accessories. When we started 3 years ago building, we was building our own stoves. They were kind of a prototype to see where we were going. We kind of got them tweaked the way we wanted them. We got busy with the company, and we didn't have time enough to build our own stoves. So they are built by a different company, but they're doing a lot nicer job because everything is laser cut now. They've eliminated about 30% of the welding from the original design of the stove, so it's just a better product altogether. This is a 1/2-inch concrete fiber material that we use for fireproofing where the stove goes through the rear of the sauna. This is the hole for the stove, and these are cut to size and assembled the same time as the stove is installed. The chimney that goes through the roof is all triple stainless steel to keep from anything getting too hot to where it might ignite. The heat is regulated from the inside with a damper in the pipe. All of our saunas do come with sauna rocks. When we deliver the sauna, we install the rocks inside the stove. This is our outside fed wood stove. This is all 10 gauge metal. It is protected here with a 1/2-inch cement board to keep the heat away from the wood. We have well over 200 units in the field, and we're not having any fire issues whatsoever. The stoves are small. They work really well. And everybody thinks they have to recut their firewood lengths. Our little sauna stoves will take a 22-inch piece of wood and still close the door. So that's going to take on most of the firewood. Average firewood is 16 to 18 inches, and you do not have to resize your firewood to work in our wood stoves. It takes approximately 30 minutes from the time you start the stove to get it warmed up to 180 degrees. The larger ones take a few more minutes, but the cubic feet just isn't that much different from our smallest size to the largest size. And obviously in February it takes a few more minutes to warm them up than it does in August. Another thing a lot of people ask about is insulation. If these were to be heated 24/7, this wouldn't be the answer. Our little stove is so overwhelming. I've had customers tell me they've had them up to 200 degrees plus. Typically, sauna is only going to be fired between 30 to 60 minutes, and then when you walk away, it really doesn't matter how quick it cools back off because you're just going to have to restart once you want a sauna again. The lumbar in our bench design is so comfortable when you sit back and lean against the radius of the barrel. But something in the redesign of the 7-footer, because the 7-foot diameter was wider, we was actually going to put more boards in the bench boards to make up the width. And what we found with the wider bench, we lost our lumbar and up against the barrel. So what we did in the 7-footer is stayed with the narrower benches and added the extra boards in the floor. One thing I'd like everybody to see is the portability of how easy it is to move, especially our smaller models. Grab onto that, Chris. We'll just 2 or 3 guys can easily pick this up, tip it up, back a trailer underneath it, set it down on the trailer, and push it up on a small snowmobile trailer to take to camp. It's real simple. These weigh approximately 500 pounds, and they're pretty easy to move around and take them to camp and bring them back home. Health benefits of the sauna. Sauna bathing is good for the skin. It's good for respiratory. It's good for, they claim, to boiling toxins out of your system and sweating things out that normally don't get sweated out. We take a lot of pride in what we're doing here at Keweenaw Saunas, and all of our business is done here locally in the UP. Our stoves are made here. Our lumber is milled here. Everything that everyone that we deal with is here locally. We don't have anything shipped in. So we're proud of that. We're proud of having a USA made product and built here in the UP.
The miles and miles of footage in this room is testimony to an unimaginable number of hours spent capturing the Upper Peninsula through the lens of a camera. It represents long days, short nights, no weekends, and sacrifices of all kinds. If somebody in the UP had a story to tell, they're probably in here. If somebody shot a big buck, it's probably in here. The UP is about the outdoors, and most, if not all of it, is probably in here. Somewhere back around 1980, Buck saw the need for a show that focused on the great outdoors of the Upper Peninsula.
Well, actually, Discovering began prior to 1979. It was not known as Discovering. I had been working in the sports department and had noticed that there was a real void for outdoor stories in the sport. Everything was jock-oriented. It was football, basketball, hockey, whatever. And when the seasons would come along, there'd be a little token story here and there, and I'd say, now wait a minute, there's a lot more that could be done here. So in 1980, I convinced the station to allow me to do a series of programs which I called Upper Michigan Outdoors, because there was nothing like it on the air at that time. And so in the month of June, July, and August, each one of those months, I did a 1.5 hour special. Hi, I'm Buck LeVasseur, your host for these Upper Michigan Outdoor Summer Specials.
For over 30 years, every Monday night, we invited Buck into our living rooms to let him tell us about what he had discovered, to remind us of the wonders of this amazing place where we live, to show us things that we'd never have seen, introduce us to people we'd never have met, teach us things we'd never have known. Without his time and dedication, without his quest to constantly discover the great outdoors of the Upper Peninsula, and to do it in a way that only Buck could do.
In the early 1980s, mid-1980s, and into the late 1980s, I was associated with the Upper Michigan Today program. And I was just learning. I was real young at the time, and Buck was already established in Discovering, and he was kind of a one-man band. You know as well as anybody, Brian, what it takes to put together a half-an-hour program, and for one person to do it week in and week out, and deal with all the ups and downs of trying to produce a half-an-hour show. You most definitely appreciate the hard work that he put into the program.
There's a lot more involved, but I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
In the late 1980s, Sue McQuaid and I tried to get an interview with John Volker, the famous author, Anatomy of a Murder fame, and that kind of a thing, and we tried, and he just never would agree to it, and Buck was able to get that interview with him. I was kind of a little jealous of him, but he was able not only to get the interview, but out at Volker's camp. That was kind of a precious place, where I think he did a lot of his writing in his younger days, but Buck was able to get that interview, and it's a classic to this day. It's a classic Volker interview.
One day, one of them asked me, do I tie my own flies? And I said, look, mister, far from being able to tie a fly, I'm barely able to unzip one. He giggled and got the message, yeah.
Probably the most extensive interview anybody ever got with him. And it's my understanding that somewhere in the outtakes, there's a lot of material that didn't make it into the program that it'd be kind of interesting to see what didn't make it into the show. But, though that's just an example of some of the classic UP people that Buck was able to have on his program. And above and beyond that, just Buck bringing the great outdoors into people's living room every week was was incredible. You know, he went from one end of the UP to the other and points in between, and you know, covered every topic you can imagine on the outdoors. You know, and he did it well. He would spend the time. He would get up at the crack of dawn and try to get basically a grouse drumming out on the plains in the Newberry area, wherever he would go. I had a pleasure of doing 2 programs on buck over the years, behind the scenes. And one was just in the late 1980s, we followed him around for a couple of days and just to see what it took for him to do his job and do the interviews. And the interesting thing, and what people really don't realize, is he did it all himself. You know, he shot everything, he wrote everything, he produced everything, he carried the equipment, he set it up, he did the interviews, he shot the B-roll, he cut it all together, and he did it week in and week out. So that's an incredible accomplishment for anybody who knows production work. To be able to do that and do that by himself is a pretty great accomplishment.
The timing of this segment is no coincidence. Some of you may already know, Buck has been through some health-related challenges lately. We nearly lost him a couple of times, and in the end of it all, he had to have his left leg amputated above the knee. Along with such an event comes many hardships. And of course that list includes financial hardships as well. Buck's son Colin has started a GoFundMe campaign online, making it very simple to help Buck out financially. No amount is too little. Additionally, if you'd like to reach out to Buck with a card or letter, you can find the mailing address at 906outdoors.com. Please take a minute to let Buck know how you feel and help out in any way you can. Thanks for watching, and remember,
This is Buck LeVasseur saying, get out and enjoy the great outdoors.
And finally, not because I regard fishing as being so terribly important, but because I suspect that so many of the other concerns of men are equally unimportant and not nearly so much fun.
Is that the truth?
That's it. Amen.